Yes, very clearly. As you said, today I'm sitting with the man who's now going to push the entire GST rollout, Chairman of GSTN, Mr. Navin Kumar. Welcome to our show, sir. So let me begin by asking, all set for July 1. There's a complete clear structure from the GST Council. Also, we'll see a full rollout at the midnight of 30th of this month. So, but let me begin. A lot of people have been highlighting that GST rollout all set for July 1, but it might be a little messy because of GSTN. So if you can give your comments to it, that is GSTN prepared or not? There are a lot of people talking about it. A messy rollout in the beginning?
Let me tell you, these criticisms are totally unfounded. Because you see, we started preparing for GST rollout way back in November 2015. And there are two essential precursors for rollout of GST. The first is migration of the existing taxpayers, and the second is to start the registration for new taxpayers. Now the first one, as you know, we exposed our GST portal in November last year, and the enrollment process started. It has continued up to April, and then we again reopened the window in June from 1st to 15th. Now in these two phases, out of 80 lakh taxpayers, existing taxpayers, we have already enrolled more than 65 lakh taxpayers. That's about 80%. So that part is already taken care of. But we have been receiving requests that there are some people still left out, so we are reopening that window from 25th of June. So that is one part. The other part, as I said, is registration of new taxpayers. Anybody who wants to do business now but is not registered under any of the previous existing taxes, then he can register afresh. That window also we are starting from 25th of June. Therefore, you see, we are totally prepared and set to roll out GST, not from 1st July, but even from before that.
So, as you said that you're going to open fresh windows and everything is all set, but yesterday at the GST Council we saw that the return filing, the process has been delayed. In the meantime, there's an arrangement also. So, but a lot of critics say that this itself is an example that GSTN is not ready. How would you like to see the delay, and how would you like to place it?
See, people are entitled to their opinions. I cannot change their views or opinions. But the fact is, you must, media is the vehicle through which we get all the, reactions and requests of businesses. And they have all been talking, and they have all been requesting the government that they need more time. They need more time to prepare themselves. They need to adapt their internal governance systems to the new compliance requirements under the GST Acts. The second thing also is, by allowing this deferment of the filing of the first tax returns, what is going to happen is that all these businesses will be able to come to our website from 1st of July. And they'll be able to see what is there. They will be able to familiarize themselves with various applications that we have. We have different applications for different activities. So they'll be able to see that, work on them, and that will be very useful for them to work on our system. So you must realize that there are two very important activities which the GST Acts enjoin upon the taxpayers. First is, for business-to-business transactions, all the invoice data has to be put on the GST portal. That is one very important thing. So GST invoice data upload is a very important activity. The other important activity is that once this data comes on our system, the system will auto-draft these invoice data into the purchase register of the buyers. And they are supposed to look at that, download that, match with their own purchases, and then say whether they agree with those or not. The first one is important because if there is any mistake in that, it will impinge on the tax liability of the taxpayer. And if there is any problem in, the second part, that is scrutinizing the invoices in the purchase return, it will impinge on the input tax credit of the buyer. Therefore, these are very critical activities under this, and the taxpayers need to be acquainted with the applications that we have for these. So this is providing this time additional time to them to get familiar with this and work on the system.
So as you said, you're just trying to assist the industry by providing them additional time. Let me ask you, what are the steps that you're going to take to assist the industry in this additional time, the additional window that you're doing? Any specific steps that you're taking to help, say, for example, SMEs who have been crying a lot? A lot of big industries, aviation, railway, they are also saying that we are not GST ready. Banking sector is a big one which has been saying that they are not GST ready, they need more time. What are the specific measures that GSTN is now going to take to make them GST ready?
See, there are two aspects to this. When a business says that I'm not ready for GST, in fact, they are talking about two things. One is their own systems, that is their own accounting systems, their own inventory systems, the manner in which they will compile the data and prepare the returns or put the invoice data. So that is one part. The other part is how they are going to put that information onto our system. To facilitate that, what we have done, particularly keeping in view the SMEs, because of smaller businesses, they can come on our portal and enter the invoice data over there. Okay. But for the SMEs who have, say, in a month 5,000, 10,000 invoices, or even more, 50,000 invoices, for them it's not possible to do that on our website directly. So for them we are giving an offline tool which they can download from our website, and they will be able to input their invoice data in that Excel sheet, and this tool will import this data into our upload on our website. So this is one thing that we are going to do, and during this period the SMEs will be able to use this offline tool. They'll be able to upload that data on our system, and once that data comes on our system, it goes into the purchase register of the buyer. They will be able to look at this. If they find that something is missing, they can talk to the seller and then make those corrections. So they will have about July and August, 2 months time to do all this.
So let me also ask you that this delay, is it going to hit the revenues of the government? Because a lot of matching will happen later on. Your GSTR1 gets filed late, your GSTR2 gets filed late, and the GSTR3, which actually synchronizes both the supplier and the receiver's data, will also get delayed. So will it have any impact on the taxes, on the revenue collections of the government?
So I see you have gone through the GST Act. That's good. Let me tell you, there is a provision in the Act which says that when the submission of GSTR 1 or 2 are delayed, in that case the government can ask the taxpayer to file a kind of summary return in form 3B. It is called GSTR 3B. So there he will enter his tax liability, and he will make tax payment on basis of that. So what will happen, since the July return, which was supposed to be filed in August, is getting postponed to September, so on 20th of August they will submit a return in GSTR 3B, and they will deposit the tax together with that. Similarly, on 20th September they will do that for the month of August. So the flow of revenue into the government's accounts will not be impeded. And what happens that finally when they submit their GSTR 1 and 2 for the 2 months, the system will prepare the GSTR 3, and they will compare it. It will be compared with the information given in 3B. And if there is any shortfall, then the taxpayer will have to pay that. If they paid extra, then it will go into it and rest in his cash ledger.
So it will be a computer automated thing which will then later on try and fill in for the initial delay, and maybe later on a taxpayer, if he hasn't declared enough, then he'll have to pay more, and if there's a due to input tax credit, then he'll get it back as a reimbursement. So let me also ask you something which was a big issue yesterday in the GST Council, that is the e-way bill. There was a clear understanding that there will be rules laid out for the e-way bill, which will actually try and see the smooth movement of goods from one state to the other. But there is no resolution that the council could achieve in the discussions yesterday, and e-way bill is still under ambiguity. Whether it will come in what shape, we don't know. And this is something, movement of goods is actually based on the e-way bill. So if you can explain where we are currently, and later on I agree, I believe that there will be some stage when e-way bill will be a reality and states will actually come on a common platform. So what will be the infrastructure now in the meantime? And what are you looking at in the e-way bill once there is a common platform that all the states reach to a common conclusion and they start acting on the e-way bill?
No, as you said, in the council meeting, a final decision could not be taken on the e-way bill. So the interim arrangement that has been made, as announced by the minister yesterday, is that the present arrangements for regulating the traffic, the goods traffic, which is existing in the states, that will continue. Many states have this transit permit system, some they call it Sugam, and it is known by different names. That will continue. But let me also tell you that I know that many states, in anticipation of rollout of GST, have already taken a decision to remove their checkposts. And in the yesterday's meeting also, it was expressed that the hope was expressed that states will go ahead and remove the checkposts, so that the movement of goods is not impeded, even when the e-way bill system is not there. Now, how e-way bill will play out, I can't predict that. But some time back we had been asked to work on that. So we had prepared a proposal, and we had prepared the scope of work for that. So once the rules are finalized, once the council takes a decision that e-way bill system has to be brought in, then we will see how that process is to be taken forward and implemented. So at this time we can only say that the e-way bill thing is the work in progress.
So as you said, you had prepared a proposal. If you can share a brief highlight of the proposal, what was it? Because GSTN must be preparing at the back on the basis of that proposal only. And sooner or later we will see one e-way bill coming through the GST Council with a formal nod.
The whole idea was that the law requires that when goods are moved on a carrier, it must be accompanied with certain documents which will indicate what is being carried and what is the tax paid, etc., etc. So the idea was that the consignor, that is a seller, or the transporter should be enabled to generate electronically an e-way bill on our website, or not necessarily on the GSTN website, but some website which is linked to GSTN, and that information the driver of the vehicle can carry on his mobile in a soft form. And wherever any tax officer wants to check whether the goods being carried are authorized, whether tax paid or not, etc., then he will be able to verify, look at this number, then verify from our website. So this was basically the kind of system that we were thinking of.
Okay.
But all this can be finalized. I mean, what shape it will come, it will depend on what kind of rules are made.
So if I may ask, what is the way forward in these last few days of GST coming to a reality? Because July 1 is very close, and I'm sure GSTN must be now working day and night to get the GST rolling exactly on day 1 of July. What is now the way ahead in these last few days of GST rollout?
Yes, as I mentioned in the beginning, see, 25th June we are starting the registration for new taxpayers. Enrollment will also come. Now in enrollment, what we have found that the 65 lakh taxpayers have already activated their accounts, but only about half of them have submitted it with DHC or e-sign or EVC. So the remaining people, we are going to tell them through email what is known, we will convey what is known as ARN, the Acknowledgement Reference Number, to them.
This is a verification of the person who has registered?
Yeah, it's an acknowledgement that he has filed all the information on the website. This number is required before he gets the provisional certificate of registration. So that we are going to send by email, and then on 27th of June, everybody who has submitted his application for enrollment, they will get a provisional certificate of registration in their account on our website. Okay. So this is one thing that is going to be done. Then the people who have not activated their accounts at all, their number also is about 15 lakhs.
Okay,
So
that's
I
a
would,
huge number.
yeah, I would like to urge all of them to come to the portal and activate their accounts and fill the application for migration. Now I understand that many of these people who are actually below 20 lakhs, and the threshold now is 20 lakhs, earlier it used to be 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs in VAT.
Yeah.
So some of these may not want to raise, so it's fine. But anybody who wishes to continue his business during the GST and he's above 20 lakhs, he should come and enroll himself. That is one. The second is, according to the tariff, etc., which has been announced, there are some sectors, some new sectors coming under taxation. So these people would like to come and register themselves. So they can come to the portal from 25th, but I want to tell them that there is no rush for them, because they will have 1 month's time during which they must obtain registration. So it's not necessary to rush on 25th only. They can easily, at their convenience, register themselves.
Which are these industries to whom you are referring to?
So for example, there are some sectors like textiles, I believe sugar, and like that.
Is e-commerce also part of it? If I'm not wrong, a lot of e-commerce players were saying that they are unable to register and they will now be registering in the new SEs window?
Yes, their registration will also take place, but their numbers are small. That's not very difficult to do. Their numbers is very small. But new taxpayers may be in good numbers. Okay. So we are prepared for all of them, and they should come and register themselves.
Recently, on the last day, if I'm not wrong, that is June 15, there were technical glitches that the GST portal saw, and it was pulled down for a few hours. If you can just elaborate that, how are you going to deal with such technical glitches, sir?
You see, what happened was, 15 days the site was open, but on those days the total number of people coming was 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. The last day there was a great rush.
Okay.
And there was a problem because one of the hardware components failed. So we replaced that. When you run a big system like this, glitches come. Our success will lie in the fact that how quickly we handle that and fix that. So we fixed it, and on the last day also, more than 50,000 people actually enrolled themselves.
Even after the technical glitch?
Even after the technical glitch. Not only that, more than 2 lakh people were able to submit their applications with DSC or EVC or e-sign. So that's how we handle that. And I also want to tell existing taxpayers and would-be taxpayers that when they come our website, if they have a problem, we have a help desk. They should get in touch with the help desk. Now for the from 25th June onwards, this help desk, we are equipping them with a special facility that if any particular taxpayer has a problem and he on the instructions or the advice given by help desk he is not able to resolve it, then if he permits, if the taxpayer permits, the help desk can take over his screen, and they can resolve the problem themselves using, So that kind of facility will...
Maybe I can give my user ID and password to that person.
It's not necessary.
And he can enroll.
There is a software which can take over your screen and then tell you how to go about it.
Okay.
So it will be very easy to do that.
Quite user friendly.
It's very user friendly. So we are there to help all the taxpayers comply with all provisions of the Act, and any problems that they have on the on our portal, we'll be able to take care of it.
So one quick last question, as you said, so security, cyber security is still a concern. How secure is the data on the GSTN portal? Because technical glitches we saw, they can be corrected, but what about the data hacking? Yeah. Data hacking is something which even government is grappling with right now, and people are quite sensitive about their data. It is about their marketing schemes, their client base. It is about business, and their business data getting hacked or something is what people would not like to be in such a situation, and they're not happy.
Yeah. You see, this particular aspect has engaged our attention right from day one. And in fact, when we floated the RFP for selecting an IT partner, we put a specific section on this, on security, and we indicated all our requirements. So we have the system, the IT system that has been developed, we have built in a lot of security into it. In fact, we call it a layered security structure. And our system will be ISO 27001 certified, which is known to be the best information security management system in the world today. So at every level, at the physical security level, at the network level, at the data level, at the application level, security tools and measures have been built in. Even while writing the code, the secure coding practices have been used. And we'll be running a security operations center 24/7 by 365, which will keep an eye on all the traffic that is coming and going. And if there is any indication of any problem, they would raise alarms and then we'll take action. So we are taking all care to ensure that the data that we receive from the taxpayers is secure.
So I'm sure to run such a system, and that too at this stage, you must be meeting a lot of service providers such as Infosys, Wipro, TCS, who are in one way or the other associated with GSTN. So how have these meetings been? And recently we saw Infosys Chief Vishal Sikka meeting Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. He did talk about the preparedness of GST, and I'm sure you're aware about it. If you can just give us a brief highlight of such meetings and what happened in that meeting, if you're aware of it.
You see, we are not meeting companies one-to-one, but myself, the CEO and our officers have been interacting with various trade associations. And through them we have been talking to all the taxpayers, which includes IT companies also. And we have been trying to take feedback from them and also to understand their requirements, and then we tell them what we are doing about it. So these interactions have been very useful. In fact, based on many of these interactions, we have made incorporated many changes in our system. So that's how we are going about it.
Thanks for talking to us. So very clearly we